the Winged Helmet. I'm Kyle Simmons, and my co-host, former Michigan Wolverine and former NFL offensive lineman Thomas Guynes, and the host of the ASAP Elite podcast, Rob Penn. How we doing tonight, guys?
What's going on, boys? Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Talk some Michigan football.
All right. Well, let's get right to it then. In Week 5, the Wolverines defeated Iowa 27-14 at Kinnick Stadium. Blake Corum rushed for 133 yards and a touchdown, and J.J. McCarthy threw for 155 yards and a touchdown. With that win, the Wolverines moved to 5-0 overall and 2-0 in the Big Ten. We'll start with Thomas. I know in the past few weeks we've talked about the pink locker rooms at Kinnick Stadium and how they're meant to have a psychological effect on the visiting team, but that wasn't the case, was it?
No, I definitely don't think that was the case. Seemingly, we came out a little bit more in rhythm than we did against Maryland. The rushing attack was, you just talked about Blake's numbers. Blake is continuing to have an All-American year. Mm-hmm. Dare I say, Blake to be in the mention in some of these postseason award ceremonies. Mm-hmm. All that to be said, it was really good to see us go out, and in my opinion, we had a little bit more of a balanced game, using the run in a way to open up the pass. We had some big catches down there, and we were able to do some things. And it wasn't our most explosive game, I would definitely say, but I would definitely say it was an entertaining game. It showed us. I think it showed the Big Ten Nation, if you will, that we are ready to compete. Even though we came out in those first few games with these basketball numbers, but us having the ability to go out there, coming back from some deficits, obviously in Maryland, we had got down, had to, kind of fight our way back into that game and close that game out. And I think we did a really good job in the Iowa game as far as being able just to close the game out. Let's get up on teams. Let's continue to affect what it is and what we're trying to do. We are a run team. We're going to try to beat you up. And I think our offensive line definitely did a relatively decent job of that this past game. So I'm hoping that we continue to stay on that same path. I still think that JJ needs to work on that internal clock in his head as far as just getting rid of the ball. But I thought he did a really good job as far as taking what the defense gave us and not turning the ball over, and was able to manage the game. So, overall, I give us a solid A-.
All right, Rob. What do you give? What's the grade for the guys this week?
I give us. I'll go B+. What's going on is this was a culmination of those first 4 games and sticking to the program. Sticking to the formula. That's one thing about it. We blew these teams out in the first 4 games, the first 3 games, then the 4th game by sticking with the run, like you say, run first. But this game, you can tell the skill level has elevated. But we still have perfected that scheme, what we do and who we are, and we didn't deviate from it. One thing about it, Iowa made adjustments. That's a good program. They took away a lot of the passing lanes, but they also keyed on JJ's running. His read option was shut down pretty much. I think it was 5 for -14, if I'm not mistaken. So they really keyed on him. But what they couldn't do is stop that 3-yard in the cloud of dust mentality going straight forward. So Blake just kept beating him down, body shot, body head, like Roy Jones would say. What I'm saying? So, yeah, they did well. They also, got the receivers going, with Ronnie Bell going on the jet sweep and different things of that nature. With Henning, and we have Edwards back. So we're at full power now, So I like what I saw.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just mentioned.
One second. And plus, being up 20-0, that was huge. That defense, I got to give them up, man. They stepped up. They got our offense. They gave our offense an opportunity to get that lather. You're really saying, really put body on body, big on big. Get our pulling guards going, man. Do our zone blocking and our different schemes, and we'll be able to bust them open when they no mas.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned Ronnie Bell there. How we missed him last season. Now we have him back. How much of a difference do you think he's making for us this season through these first 5 games?
We have to be accountable on the outside. Oh, I'm sorry, Thomas.
Right. Nope. Go ahead, because I think we're definitely on the same page. Go ahead.
It gives us a level of something to be accounted for. Right now, we have elite players on all three levels. They can't play us. They can't stack boxes on us. Now they have to really play us honestly. If we go ahead and spread them out, or do a numbers game. But I gotta give it up, man. It's not just Ronnie Bell. We have 3 Division I. We have 3 NFL receivers right now. If you want to be, let me stop that. We have 7 NFL skill players on this offense right now. Go ahead, Thomas.
So I'm just going to piggyback off of that. Because of the fact that we do have some legitimate threats on the outside that have the ability to take the top off of a defense, as we alluded to, you can't just stack the box to stop the run now. Mm-hmm. You have to get out there and make sure that our perimeter guys aren't going to beat you. But then if we take it deep between Schoonmaker and All coming through on some crossing routes, basically, in my opinion, and I say this with no hate, they're just slow wide receivers with bigger bodies, but are just as athletic. So we have that threat that kind of takes me back to the, when I played and I had Mark Campbell and Jeremy Tooman, right? We could pound you with the run. I had Amani, I had Mercury, I had Ty Streets, I had all of these guys. Okay, we're going to shut all of this stuff down. But what do? Because of the run, I'm going to hit you on the play action, maybe run some naked boots and hit my tight ends on the crossing routes, and they're going to pick up 10, 12, 15 yards a pop, if not take it to the house. So the more that we're able to give these defenses something to think about, the less predictable we become. We're going to take a lot of pressure off of JJ. It's going to allow JJ to be JJ. The one thing I'm still seeing with JJ is that he's inconsistent on his touch. Especially on the deep ball, he throws a laser, nothing but high heat. If we can get him to just start dropping them in the bucket a little bit and letting our wide receivers create separation and run underneath those balls to make these catches, I think we'll be a lot more efficient and effective as the year goes on. But what's so crazy, it's really good to see, but it's also nerve-wracking at the same time, is that we're so close to just being that on that level of proficiency, especially on our deep balls. Once he begins to conquer that and understand what that's all about, bro, we're gonna be a problem.
Hey, I want to add to that too. Given that this was his second offseason, his second summer, I think that the stride that they'll make from sophomore to the junior season will just be exponential. And also I just want to give props to Roman Wilson real quick. I was just a Ronnie Bell just fanatic. Roman is my guy, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to give props to him. The kid from Hawaii can ball.
All right, so as we head into week 6, the Wolverines are going to travel down to Bloomington to take on the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers are 3-2 overall with a 1-1 Big Ten record. Michigan's coming in as a heavy favorite once again. So I guess what we don't want here is to start looking ahead to next week to Penn State. And then all of a sudden, this turns into a trap game. Thomas, do you think that may be the case this Saturday?
I don't think that's the case this Saturday. The one thing that I've seen thus far is that our coaches are doing a really good job of keeping the boys level-headed, making sure that we're prepared. Right now, it's all about implementing the game plan, the scheme, and being as efficient as possible when doing so. The thing that a lot of people that may not really watch or understand football, especially Michigan football, this Michigan-Indiana game for decades has been a trap game. Indiana has, woefully underperformed over the years, but for whatever reason, they always play the Wolverines tough. Mm-hmm. I remember back when I was playing in, the mid-'90s, and that was typically our game before Ohio State. I'm sorry, that team down south. Mm-hmm. Exactly. We don't say those words here. But that game right there, to me, physically, typically took more out of me in that Indiana game than that team from down south game. The team from down south game, it is what it was. Everything was on the line, right? But our expectations was because, we had been beating them so handily over the years, like it was just an expectation. But that IU game and the way those boys came in, because remember, as I said before, they've been woefully underperforming for years. What better way to get that monkey off of their back, to put that feather in their cap, than to beat the mighty Wolverines? And I don't care if it's us going to Bloomington or them coming to Ann Arbor. We're always going to get the Hoosiers' best shots. And ladies and gentlemen, please do not be fooled. They got some ballers out there. It's just trying to get all of the right pieces working on the same page. I think that's kind of been some of their issue over the years. They've definitely had some standout athletes, but to get enough standout athletes that are all reading from the same sheet of music, once they kind of get that going, I think they're definitely going to be a problem in the Big Ten.
Now, Rob, what do you think is going to be the key this week? Get this job done.
Never deviate from a scheme, and that's not going to happen. First of all, let me give props to Indiana. They played tough in the first half against Nebraska last week. They went in halftime at 21, and Nebraska was able to score 14 in the fourth quarter, and go ahead and close out that victory. But we're not going to have that same problem. It's going to be definitely a stagnated, deep water concept. Drag them in a deep water concept. But ultimately, they have nothing to. They can't hurt us. They can't hurt us. What they had that can hurt us, Michael Penix is now the starting quarterback at Washington, if I'm not mistaken. And that program is doing pretty good. Even they just got whooped by UCLA last week. But still, all in all, I just didn't see anything from Indiana last week that posed a threat. Now, Thomas is a little different. Just to piggyback off of what you said about you having just these hard knockout, drag-out games, man, that's the heartland. You know what I'm saying? It's Thomas Guynes walking around there. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they get on them edges. It's going if the boy find his time, find his stride, get in the rhythm, is able to put some touch on them passes like Thomas said earlier, and hit these open receivers. We're going to get Edwards and Corum running crazy once they are able to take advantage of that cover 3 that they run, that terrible cover 3 with these corners bail out. We're going to take advantage of these hitches, these comebacks and different things of that nature. And really, and our running back screen is going to be open too. We haven't been doing that enough. But yeah, we're going to definitely expose them again. So,
all right, so then,
this
Rob,
is not the COVID season.
Well, then, Rob, we're going to start with you on the prediction. Give us a score for this game, then.
Michigan, 38-17.
38-17.
Rob, I hate you too, because literally you were in my head. I didn't want to say, like 42, but I was definitely, around that 38 number.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to copycat and say 38. I'm going to say 38-12. What I'm looking for this week is our defensive front four consistently able to get pressure on this quarterback, and in doing so, not losing contain. We got to continue to set that edge, make sure that we're not getting outflanked on that edge. But like I said before, bringing that pressure up the gut and letting our secondary and our linebackers just play in space. The one thing I am kind of concerned about, as I said before, is that when teams go up tempo on us and they start going with all these different formations, our secondary seems a little bit out of sorts as far as getting the right calls in, getting guys in the right position to play. But as long as we are able to get those calls in, get guys set up, I definitely feel like our secondary is going to be able to stand up with pretty much anybody in the Big Ten. I'm just looking for that defensive front seven to bring some noise, make sure that quarterback is uncomfortable and that he has a very dirty uniform at the end of the game.
Well, that's it for this week. Tune in next week where we preview the big game versus Penn State. And be sure to listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. You can also listen to us on the Believe Podcast Network. For Thomas Guynes and Rob Penn, I'm Kyle Simmons. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Hail.
Hell yeah.